Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. But as for me, I will look to the Lord. I will wait for the God of my salvation. My God will hear me. The prophet Micah reminds us to wait for God and to trust as we wait. This week we are looking at people in the Bible who waited for God to act, even as in these early days of Advent, we wait for God to act in sending Jesus. For us, like Micah, it's a time of waiting, a time of hoping. For us, like Micah, it is a time of trust. And even though they failed over and over and over at that, another example of people waiting and hoping and trusting in God is Moses and the Hebrew people as they wandered in the wilderness on the way to the promised land. The Bible tells us that it took them 40 years to make the journey from Egypt to Israel, and that's always a bit of a difficult thing to think about because it doesn't take that long to get from Israel to Egypt. Well, maybe you've heard the old joke about how it took so long because Moses was a man and refused to ask for directions. And we need to remember that the number 40 in the Bible tends to mean something like as long as it took or until the time was complete. But you still can't escape the fact that this time, the time wasn't described in days like with Noah, but in years. This was a long, long time, serious waiting. And the larger point is that the time in the wilderness was important for reshaping the people as God's people. During their 400 years in Egypt, they had lost their identity. And before they entered the promised land, they needed to reestablish their understanding of who God was, who they were, and to define the relationship. And so they wandered in the wilderness as long as it took. The problem was, however, that the people grew impatient during those times when Moses was away on the mountain talking with God. You know about one of those times, how they built a golden calf to worship. And Moses was angry enough to break the stone tablets God had given them, perhaps a symbol of how they had broken the covenant with God. And yet Moses went up on that mountain twice more to seek God's forgiveness for the people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Moses prayed. And God was steadfast in God's love for the people. The people had been faithless, but God was faithful. It's all there in Deuteronomy 9 and 10. The problem is that we grow impatient too. We get tired of waiting, tired of our prayers seemingly unanswered the way we want them to be, tired of our struggles and troubles going on, tired and impatient that God doesn't act on our schedule. We live as they did, in impertinence, not in patient trust and hope. But it will take as long as it takes. Like Micah, we are called to remember and live in trust. God will hear us. God remembers us. And God has not forsaken us. We are now and forever held in the palm of God's hand. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.